Okay, we'll start with this. An interesting take from veteran trainer Rick Ramos, who said, when Turkey is paying all your bills, you do what you're told. Turkey doesn't support women's boxing, so guess what? No more female boxers on their roster.
But who are they, and who is Rick Ramos referring to?
Could be referring to Matchroom, as that is the major promotional outfit that over the years he did the most business with, though is it true? Now that Matchroom is in bed with Turkey, are they not promoting female fighters anymore, and have they cleared out their roster? That is not exactly true. They still promote 5 or 6 female active fighters.
7 if you count Sandy Ryan, who is currently out with child. They still promote Katie Taylor. They still promote Shannon Ryan,
Sky Nicholson, and have currently started promoting Molly McCann, as well as their young unbeaten up-and-comer, Tia May Ayton, who is said to be the heir apparent to the throne Katie Taylor is set to leave behind.
They also still promote Elif Nur Turan, the current reigning IBF lightweight champion, so they haven't exactly cleared out their female stable of fighters, but it does seem to be thinning out. That could be because a good number of those girls chose to leave Matchroom for MVP.
It's nothing really to do with Turki El Sheikh and their business relationship with him. They haven't started jettisoning female fighters on the premise of Turkey. Those female fighters chose to leave.
So then why haven't they replaced them?
Which is an even more compelling question. Maybe it's because MVP has bought up so much real estate in women's boxing, they haven't left anyone for Matchroom to sign. They've signed a good number of the established names in the sport, the pound-for-pound fighters, and even a large number of unbeaten up-and-comers, to where if Matchroom wanted to beef up their stable of women boxers, there's not a lot left.
Most of the good girls are with MVP, so it's nothing to do with Turkey, even if Turkey isn't the biggest fan of women's boxing.
And he isn't. It's a cultural thing.
If it seems like the women now have less visibility than they did before, it's because before, they were all housed under different promotional banners. Some were with Matchroom, others were with Boxer, 1 or 2 with Top Rank, 1 or 2 with Queensberry, whereas now, the majority of them are housed under one promotional outfit that doesn't seem to do that many shows per year.
Though once again, that's nothing to do with Turki El Sheikh and his relationship with Matchroom. Matchroom still promotes at least 5 or 6 active female boxers, and maybe after the next Olympic Games, what amateur standouts come out of that, I could see Matchroom picking them up.
After all these years in the American boxing scene, I could also see Matchroom maybe picking up a few Mexican-American fighters or Mexican nationals, because we all know the Mexican boxing fan moves the needle in this country, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to pick up a Camila Zamorano, for example, a very young fighter, a young champion.
But when one promotional outfit buys up so much of the real estate in women's boxing, what do you expect? There ain't that many female fighters around to sign because MVP picked up most of them.
What I will say is, I love what MVP has done and is trying to do for these girls, but when you have a stable primarily comprised of women's boxers, it's a tough sell for some people who still haven't really gravitated towards the women.
The way Matchroom did it initially, mixing women's fights in there with the men.
That's how it's done.
Don't confuse entertaining an audience with trying to deliver a political message, because nobody wants to be preached to. We don't need the sermon. What we want is to be entertained. And so long as you're focusing on that,
instead of the whole girl power thing,
the boss bitch thing, people don't want to hear that. What they want to see is a good fight. And what separates boxing from a lot of other things is a good fight is a good fight. Whether it's 2 guys, 2 girls, or 2 squirrels.
You can sell it.
Just don't bog it down with the whole boss bitch theme, like what James Gunn just tried to do with his Supergirl movie.
It's not misogyny.
It's not that the general population has some aversion to a strong female lead, a strong female protagonist. Sigourney Weaver in the Aliens movies is proof you can do this, as well as Uma Thurman in the 2 Kill Bill movies. I can go on.
That it can be done because it has been done, though when it was done successfully, it wasn't about promoting the boss bitch. It was about telling a compelling story about a compelling character. And the same is true of boxing.
It's not going to work if you market it as promoting women for the sake that they're women. So what?
Who cares?
It's about promoting compelling characters, compelling fights. whether they're women or men.
You don't want to keep overstating that you're pushing women and women's boxing. It should just be boxing for the sake of boxing. When you do it that way, and that's how Matchroom was doing it.
They didn't do all female-themed shows with nothing but females on the card. They mixed in the women's fights with the men's and were able to get an audience to watch them that would not otherwise have watched them.
That's when it works the best.
So even if Matchroom's stable of female fighters is not now what it once used to be, they had the right idea, and I think they still do. They have not stopped promoting women entirely. There's just not that many women around to sign.
I saw a photo shoot, you in the back after signing, and you're wearing the Zuffa gear.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you now going to be wearing a uniform when you fight?
Nah, not at all. I'm gonna be putting on my own uniforms, and they may like help out or something if they on the designs if they want. But as far as like me, I'm putting on my own uniform. I already made that established when I talked with them.
Okay, I got to be honest. I was a bit devastated when I saw the video.
Yeah, that was like one of the first things I said. But man, I can't say nothing against like what they like. They like what they like. I like what I like. That's all.
But your gear is always so cool and it's personal, and you show, look at this. We can't stray away from this.
Nah, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
That is yet another narrative that Shakur Stevenson has laid to rest when it comes to Zuffa boxing and the treatment of their fighters. Remember how many narratives were levied against them upon their inception?
That they were going to go over there and get jerked. They were going to go over there and be underpaid. That's not the truth. Guys are going over there and making more money than they were before.
That in going to Zuffa boxing, the fighters there would isolate themselves from the rest of the world of boxing, which also isn't true.
Connor went over there and he's fighting Ryan Garcia, who is still promoted by Golden Boy and still fights on DAZN.
On a smaller scale, the gripes about the Zuffa uniform, the Zuffa trunks, the Zuffa gloves, some people would have you believe that Zuffa was operating like a communist regime. Everybody's all decked out in a would-be uniform of drab colors and pastels.
You could smell the socialism.
The warmth of collectivity, when that's not true either. The fighters you've seen get out there wearing that Zuffa uniform, that fight kit, are doing so willingly because you get a few $1,000s extra for doing so. Now, Shakur, being a seven-figure fighter who normally makes millions, he doesn't need a few thousand on top, so he's not going to do that. He's going to get to pick his fight kit and wear what he wants to wear.
It's still up to him. He still has a choice.
And as more and more time passes and Zuffa makes more acquisitions, puts more fights together, so many of the narratives levied against them are falling by the wayside.
Keyshawn became their mandatory, and when Keyshawn became their mandatory, they started mentioning my name, like, oh, we want to fight Shakur, we'll fight the big bro, and once they did that is where it's like, I felt like they was kind of trying to run away from the Keyshawn, and they would rather lose to me than Keyshawn, so I'm like, shit, however y'all want it, I'm down. Like, if y'all say, oh, Shakur, then come see Shakur under them bright lights.
Oh my gosh. And why 144?
Why 144? Because I'm not a 47-pounder. I just came up from 135 to 140. So if I'm going to move up to make the fight fair, I feel like he should be able to move 3 pounds down since he just fought Jose Ramirez at 144 with no problem.
I believe all of that to be true, all of that to be valid. You can pinpoint the moment the Haney start advocating for a Stevenson fight to the moment Keyshawn became their mandatory, because with Stevenson, unlike Keyshawn, you're not under threat of being stopped. Even in a fight that Shakur Stevenson dominates, he's not going to take the chance of knocking you out, putting a whole bunch of punches together. That's not the kind of fighter he is. So you're safer with him than you are with Keyshawn.
Relatively speaking.
He's naturally smaller than Keyshawn. He's naturally smaller than Devin. He started out at a lighter weight. He started out at feather, where Devin started out at lightweight.
He's got no time in, no experience as a welter.
And what is another determining factor, the money. Keyshawn Davis is still attached to Top Rank as a promoter, whereas Shakur is attached to Zuffa, which services as a segue to Sella, to Turkey El Al Sheikh, and a big Saudi bag. You make more fighting Shakur than you do fighting Keyshawn. So the choice
is obvious.
But would come at a cost. The cost of Devin Haney's brown belt, because he's currently under orders to fight Keyshawn Davis. That's his mandatory, not Shakur. Fighting him at a catch weight of 144 may not suffice for the WBO, so if push comes to shove, Devin will drop that belt to get it a big bag.
For him, that's what it's all about. He already did the legacy thing and becoming undisputed at lightweight. At this point in Devin's career, it's about the money, and Shakur gets him more of that than Keyshawn.
And I think it's a fight Shakur can win, because I've always said he's better with that base style than Devin.
Devin is a jab and grab kind of pure boxer, getting on his toes, moving around, and sticking the jab out there. And if you manage to close the distance on him, he's not going to really try to fight you on the inside. Not really. He's going to hold. Whereas Shakur is better on the outside and the inside, in the pocket, than Bevin.
Now, Shakur Stevenson does have a reputation for being a boring fighter, like Bevin, but it is a little bit exaggerated with Shakur because you're really just talking about two fights. Two primarily. The Nicotila fight, which was a while ago, and the Edwin De Los Santos fight. You could argue that the Lopez fight was pretty monotonous. That was kind of boring, but you'll notice that's a fight where Shakur Stevenson came forward.
There were so many moments in the Lopez fight that, while monotonous, showed Shakur Stevenson inching forward, baiting Teofimo Lopez to throw so he could counter what he throws.
I think he's going to do that to Devin. If anybody's going to be the aggressor and anybody's going to be the defender in that fight, I think Shakur's going to be the aggressor and Devin is going to be the defender.
Because Devin fights like a bitch.
A scared little bitch who doesn't know how to dress, doesn't know how to talk outside of impersonating Floyd Mayweather and quoting him like it's scripture.
Bitch!
Shakur's going to be the one pressing the issue and trying to elicit a response from Devin. Get him to stick the jab out there so he can counter it over the top. Because remember, Devin is an orthodox fighter. Shakur is a southpaw. When you talk about lead foot advantage, so long as Shakur can keep his lead foot on the outside of Devin's, he can counter his jab over the top. And outside of the jab, Devin doesn't have much else in terms of offense. He doesn't have a strong right hand or a big left hook, a big uppercut. It's really just the jab with Devin. If you can take that away...
Ooh-wee!
And in my humble opinion, Shakur Stevenson is more comfortable mid-range to inside than Devin by a lot, and more effective at that proximity. The most I've ever seen Devin do in the pocket is get hurt.
Get pieced up by Jojo Diaz and Vasyl Lomachenko, wobbled by Linares.
I think Shakur Stevenson is going to outsmart him and subsequently undress him. I have Shakur winning a points decision if and when the time comes. We've no ETA on when exactly we can expect this fight to happen, but I see no obstacles, no barriers, because Devin is a free agent. He's not attached to anybody, and this is supposedly the fight they wanted.
But what about the catchweight?
Hey, Devin was all right fighting Jose Ramirez at 144, so why wouldn't he be all right fighting Shakur at that same weight for even more fucking money?
Men's middleweight news. Spence vs. Tszyu has been changed from a contracted catchweight of 158 to 160. Terrence Crawford is set to attend. The bout between Errol Spence Jr. and Tim Tszyu has been moved from a 158-pound catchweight to 160 to accommodate a request made by Spence. Tszyu's coach, Jeff Fennick, revealed on Wednesday. Spence will square off in Australia on July 26th, toward the end of this month, on a card that will stream on DAZN and Prime Video pay-per-view.
I say it all the time.
Say what?
If you're a welterweight who was busting at the seams and struggling to make the weight, moving up to 154 is only a temporary fix, as 154 from 147 is really just a few pounds. Before you know it, you'll be struggling to make that. Now, this fight between Errol and Tim was already going to be fought above 154, so adding 2 more pounds to it...
Is that really a big deal?
Spence hasn't fought since a crushing one-sided stoppage loss to Terrence Crawford in July of 2023 for the undisputed 147-pound title. Tszyu, a former junior middleweight champion, last fought in April, beating Dennis Nerja at 157-pound catchweight. In other news, Crawford will be heading to Sydney next week to be ringside for the fight. A source confirmed of Crawford's plans told The Ring. Crawford has openly supported Spence during his comeback campaign and even picked the Texan to beat the Aussie. Crawford is having a busy week in New York as he picked up a 3rd ESPY award for Best Fighter on Wednesday ahead of attending Fanatics Fest at the Javits Center this weekend.
Boxing insider Rick Glacier, reacting to the news of Errol Spence Jr.'s request to change the contracted weight for the fight, said Errol Spence Jr. now requesting a weight change for the Tszyu bout to 160. Not a good sign for Errol. Another sign of being totally shot, aka Gonzo. This fight in boxing's ecosystem is really retirement money for a Gonzo Errol Spence. So don't bet on Errol.
Is it safe to say that after just one loss, Errol Spence Jr. is officially shot? Is requesting a weight change what that confirms? And I don't think you need to be a shot fighter to maybe be busting at the seams and tight at a weight.
Fighters blow the weight all the time, and not all of them are shot. I mean, being shot accents a lack of punch resistance.
Not necessarily weight.
I'm very motivated, and the fact that he's underestimating me, I feel like. He just thinks this guy's going to be a walk in the park. I'm going to smash him. He's never fought anyone my level. That's fair enough. That's what he's thinking. But yeah, when I get in the ring there, I want to shock him. It's just like I want to make him think. You know what? This isn't a small Danny Garcia that I'm fighting against. This is the pure 154 pounder. That can hit, that can put on a pace, and I want him to feel that.
I think Tim's got the right idea. Errol Spence Jr., having not fought in 3 years, the last thing he needs is a physical fight, a rough and tumble fight at a frenetic pace.
If you go in there and you throw so much at him, so often, so fast, he doesn't have time to settle in, that may be enough to get him out of there. As far as the weight stuff, Errol requesting 160, yeah, maybe that benefits Errol a little bit, but it benefits Tim just as much as it benefits Errol. Saves him having to cut the carbs.
I don't know how the bookies have it, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them have Errol Spence Jr. as the betting favorite, just based on his popularity and the fact that he's fought more known fighters than Tim Tszyu.
Even though he hasn't fought in 3 years?
They're gonna tell themselves that Errol Spence Jr. is a better boxer for the simple fact that he's American. Let's be honest with each other, let's be honest with ourselves.
Even under these circumstances, American exceptionalism is a thing.
They're both gonna be breaking in new corners when the opening bell sounds. But Tim Tszyu, he has been fighting. He has been active. He's currently on a 2-fight winning streak against unheralded opposition, but still, he's had his tune-ups. Errol hasn't. It's hard to imagine that off a 3-year layoff, he can get back in the swing of things. Just like that.
There is little time left. The bout is only 2 weeks away. We're going to find out what Errol has and what Errol doesn't have. According to Rick Glacier, he's shot.
And Rick might be right. Not because of the weight stuff,
but because Terrence beat the prime out of Errol 3 years ago.